Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Abraham Boson Show. I'm Itodo Abraham by name, and our guest today is Pastor and Pastor Mrs. Kenneth Itodo. It's a pleasure to have you, sir. Pleasure to have you, ma.
Thank you.
We are at it again, Abraham Boson Show. Today we are going to be discussing an interesting topic, and it's a thing that is for both the married and for the single. Our viewers out there, tune on to us. You have a whole lot to learn from our discussions today, and I pray that at the end of the discussions, our love life, our marriages, and our lives will turn around. Our topic of discussion today is love enough to sustain marriage and relationship? Is love enough to sustain marriage and relationship? Ma, is love enough to sustain marriage and relationship? I need a yes or a no as an answer.
Love alone is not enough.
It's not enough. It's a no.
Yeah.
Sir, your wife said love alone is not enough to sustain marriage. What are the other ingredients that needed to be added to it to spice it up?
Well, if you get into a love relationship, basing it on how you feel about somebody, most times, it's more like a firework that might fizzle out after a while. So there are certain things you need to walk into a relationship with or you bring to the table, which has to do with your character, your commitment, has to do with trust. And these are ingredients that when you put together will spice up or kind of add value to the love that you have for the person, because you might love somebody and in marriage you discover at a point there is a mistrust. Once that mistrust comes, certain things will be set in motion that will counter the love that you have for the person.
Okay.
So there are other ingredients that we need to be mindful of as we get involved in our relationships.
Is that right? Ma, I don't know. What is your take on love at first sight?
Okay. I am of the belief that love grows. I believe that when you meet someone at first sight, you are not going to get to know the total man. It will take a while before you get to know who the person really is. So I am of the opinion that love should be given a chance to grow. At first sight, you could just have a liking to someone, but it can't be called love instantly. It has to take some time before it grows into what we call love. It depends on what one has as an understanding of what love is.
Okay. Sir, do you believe in love at first sight?
Yes, it do happen, but not all the time, even though it's a risky venture.
Wow.
Yeah, quite risky, because
Okay.
they will always say, there's a saying in English that you don't judge a book by the cover.
Yeah.
So love at first sight most times is like judging a book by the cover. Some have ventured into it and got it right by the help of God. But the adverse effect when you get it wrong is more, because you cannot totally unwrap. In fact, even throughout your lifestyle, throughout your life, you might not be able to totally unveil a man or a woman.
And the day goes by.
Yes, you keep
Unveiling
knowing.
yourself.
Yes. Then you're just meeting somebody and then getting to know everything about the person. I don't think it's possible. But there are basic things you need to know about a person at least before you get involved deeply with the person.
But there are instances and situations whereby you see somebody for the very first time, you fall in love with the person without knowing anything about the person. It happens.
Yes, we quite agree.
Liking.
Okay, that's likeness,
That's
not love.
liking. That's liking.
Love is more weighty than the word.
Yes.
That's liking.
So, is there a difference between the love you have for someone before marriage and after marriage?
Yes. The love does not really change per se, but the way you administer the love might change as a result of things that get involved or you carry on as the time progresses. For instance, when you are courting a girl, you really don't have a lot of things to consider.
Okay.
You have all the time, you have all the resources. But the moment you get married, you are carrying along certain other responsibility. For instance, you now have in-laws, you have children, and these ones tend to take your time also and take your money also. So you might not be able to do that which you were doing as you were doing them before you got married.
Will all of these factors mentioned above affect the love you had for the person before and now?
Like I said, the love remains.
Okay.
But some of the things you do to express your love might not be the
The
same.
commitment, the
Yes,
attention might not be as
yes,
committed
might-
as it used to.
Yes.
Okay.
That is it.
Ma, in our contemporary world today, a lot of ladies will tell you they are not ready to marry the man they love. They are ready to marry the man that is ready for marriage. They don't believe in love anymore. What is your take on that?
Everyone eventually will believe in love.
I'm speaking from experience and from what people are saying in
Yeah.
our world today.
It's actually a statement or an act of desperation
Okay.
or frustration. Something is making that person make that statement. But the truth of the matter is, by the time the lady in question eventually gets married, she will start demanding love in that relationship, which will eventually lead to separation when the man can't offer love. Because women majorly are wired to be loved. So when a woman can't get love, so most times you hear women ladies say the guy is buoyant enough, so let me get married to him. At least all that I need, he will take care of my needs.
I've met ladies in so many places. They will tell me, "I don't love him," but my mom told me that once I marry him,
I will get to love him. Now you now get inside and discover that instead of falling in love with him, you are seeing more characters that are not what you can put up with. And then the issue comes up where you are expecting him to give you attention, to be careful with you, to pay attention to your daily worries, and he doesn't have that time for you because you married him for his money and the money is there. He pays your bills. What else do you want? You see, the same lady begins to complain. I've had stories where a lady will say, the only thing I get in that marriage is money, and I have made the money and I am tired of the money. We have seen instances where guys married ladies because they have money, not knowing what their future would be like, and eventually the said guy gets buoyant in life and is no longer interested in that marriage. He begins to look for a woman who will offer him love. So eventually we all go look for love at the end. So I don't advise such.
believe our viewers out there, they are learning from your opinions and your contributions. Sir, I don't know, can you kindly tell us, my viewers out there want to know, I want to know, the difference between love, lust, and infatuation? A lot of persons mix up the whole of this thing. They are interwoven, they are close related. Tell us the differences between the three terms.
Alright, let's begin from, we start from love. Okay, love actually has to do with your affection, has to do with your passion about or towards somebody. For me, most times I don't think love can actually be defined, but it has to do with your. It's
the
something
personal
that,
thing.
yes,
Each
comes
person
from-
defines it based on the way he feels.
Yes, it's a feeling kind of from the seat of emotions. So it's more of an affection. And then lust majorly has to do with a sexual feeling. It has to do with a sexual attraction. You like a person, you pretend and you say you love, not actually love, based on probably physical features. What comes to mind most times is wanting to have a sexual relationship with the person you claim to love. But most times, this has to do with your lust, not love.
Yeah.
Because when you remove the features you are seeing in the lady, physical features, you might really not appreciate the person per se. So that can be termed to be lust. Then we have infatuation that is more like, do I say love at first sight? You just like somebody and then it's like a firework that doesn't last. After a short while, it fizzles out and you discover, oh, this is not actually what I was thinking. So,
Wow. Ma, if I want, my viewers want to know, and I also want to know, how do one know that what he feel for her or him is love and not the other way around, lust or infatuation? How do you know you are in love? How do you know you love this person? How sure are you?
Okay, just like he has said, if I know what lust is, I know what love is, and I know what infatuation is, I should be able to determine if what I'm feeling is love. Now, if my feelings are just sexually driven, like anytime I meet the person, I just want to sleep with the person, then it's not love. And if my feelings are just, crazy, like very unreasonable, Like anytime I see the person, I just want to spend all my lifetime with the person. No sense of reasoning. I'm not interested in any other
futuristic
thing.
plans.
Nothing. In fact, infatuation is a very matured
now,
way
the
of
present thing, not the
yes,
future.
not the future. All you are interested in is just spending time with the person, nothing more. The person does not go to work any longer. You're not thinking straight anymore. You're not paying attention to reasons, nothing. Then I know that is infatuation and not love. Love is matured. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love takes its time. Love brings things to the table, not just wanting to touch your bodies and the rest of that. What we find happening these days in our society is not love. And that's why eventually when we get in, we can't define it any longer. It's not love. Love is not what we think it is. Love is more mature than what we express. So when you are in love, you will know the level of patience that is involved, the level of maturity involved, the level of passion involved, the level of dreams you share together. A lot of these come together, you know you are in love and not infatuated by the person.
And in this level too, you check your level of compatibility. Are you guys
Of
compatible
course.
in so many areas?
Yes.
Can we stand the next 30, 40 years together or not?
Yeah, you check compatibility. In fact, for those of us who are Christians, you check your calling.
Yeah.
Are you called? Are you a minister of God? You check your calling before you think of this thing we
Is
call
he or
love.
she agreeing with the
Yeah.
calling or not?
Or not.
Sir, love is an action word. How do you express love in your union as a married man and as a pastor, as a father?
Well, I think for me, I dare to take a path that is not usual to men. I express more of my love in sharing my company.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we communicate a lot, we talk a lot, discuss a lot of things. The few hours we are not together, we are still in touch via communication. And so the time we spend together, I think for me, is company.
Since you've been married, the few period you've not been together, maybe you traveled and all of that, how often, what is the space interval, the space between that you communicate to get along?
Wow. All right, I've been married for 18 years.
Okay.
And the longest we've been apart for these 18 years is 1 week.
Wow.
Just 7 days. She traveled twice for ministerial assignments, and we were apart for those periods. But funny enough, anytime she travels, we're in touch almost every 20 minutes.
Not hour.
No.
Wow.
What if you are a pastor? What if it's your ministrations and the program have to last for like 3 to 4 hours?
I put my phone
It's
on,
okay.
he listens to the messages.
The other time she
Otherwise,
traveled to a conference in Lagos, and we keep talking until when it's time for the service.
Okay.
She puts the phone on while the minister is ministering. For every section I'm a part of the meeting on phone. That was even long before this present dispensation, when we talk about data at the cheaper rates, and then video calls. It was voice call all through, and I would listen to the message all through, just to be in touch, so we can also discuss the message together. It's quite expensive, but I think it's worth it, just to bridge the gap.
That's really exciting. I believe my viewers out there are learning so much from you. And the way you express your love and how close you both are. Ma, I want to ask, and my viewers too want to know, especially the young ones today falling in love left, right, and center. What advice do you have for them? Just like you said earlier, a lot of persons today are in lust, in infatuation, not love, which is a bedrock, which is a foundation. What advice do you have for the young ones out there that want to fall in love, or some of them don't believe in love any longer, that love is this, love is that, because of the heartbreak and their past experiences and all of that? What advice do you have for us?
Okay, I would advise that you fall in love with your heart and your mind.
Your head.
Your head. Use your head. Love is not primitive. The Bible describes that in 1 Corinthians 13. Love is not primitive. Love is very intelligent.
Wow.
So you don't fall in love and become stupid.
How do you mean by the word love is intelligent?
Our love is intelligent. Love is smart.
Wow.
Love decodes. Love unfolds mysteries. So when people are in love and they seem not to see anything, know anything, that they just do anything they think of, they just carry me, they go. That's not love.
That's foolishness.
That's foolishness. Love is intelligent. If you are in love, you should be intelligent. And then you pay attention to reasonings.
Science.
You pay attention to signs, you see things, and then you try to decode what is going on. Don't just take everything to be love. You pay attention. These days we find people just say they are in love and you see misbehaviors, high level of misbehavior coming from the other party, and they seem not to see it. You meet a girl who talks like there's no respect, no regards for anyone, and you say you are in love. Pay attention to reasoning. What are people saying? You know, are people making reference that you should sit down and think? Can you sit down and calculate what you're going into? Who is that man that will want to build and won't take into cognizance the cost of the building? So these days people fall in love without taking into cognizance what love costs, and love is expensive. So you should take into cognizance.
You say love is expensive. How do you mean? I want to know.
Love is expensive. Okay, let's go back to the author of love.
Okay.
Now, Genesis. Sorry, I said Genesis. In John 3:16, the Bible says, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son." Now, there can never be a loving without a giving.
A sacrifice.
Love is very sacrificial, so it's expensive. Most times, what you sacrifice are expensive. Love does not pay the bills. There's something that pays the bills.
Which is
Money.
mm.
Money. Very essential in love. That's one of the things that makes love not to be enough alone.
I have a group on Facebook, the singles and married, and some days ago I posted something and I asked a question, and the question goes like this: in a relationship, is it the man's responsibility to take care of her financial needs and all of that?
What kind of relationship are we talking about?
Boyfriend, girlfriend, fiancé, you are dating, considering marriage, you are getting to know each other. There's no marital commitment at that point.
Responsibility.
Yes.
Now, when you say something is a responsibility, when it's not done, it's questionable.
Yes.
I don't see it as a responsibility.
But that is the way it is today.
It's not a responsibility, but it's an act of kindness. It's an act of care. You're showing concern that I can actually take care of you if I marry you. Okay. So I'm only showing you that with this little I am doing now, by the time I get married to you, I can really take care of you. I believe it's a responsibility when it's marriage. When it's married, because I know the Bible says, "Man who cannot fend for his household is worse than an infidel." Yeah. So I know that it's a responsibility in marriage for a man to look after his family. But when a man is dating you, I don't see it as a responsibility, even though he is to care for you, show you love and kindness. But that does not mean all your bills becomes on his head. All your bills, all your problems are channeled to you. Your family problems.
Persons feel today that marriage is like a poverty alleviation program.
No.
That's just it.
No. Marriage is two persons coming together to make it work.
Yeah.
So if two persons are coming together to make it work, they are both making it work, both financially, spiritually, materially, and otherwise. So if two persons are coming together and one person is carrying the burden, it's no longer love. Okay. The burdens in love are bare, they are shared. They're not carried on one person's shoulders. It's a misconception in the hearts of our young ladies these days that they think that the moment they meet a guy who says hello to them, the guy is responsible for all their recharge cards, he's responsible for their hairdo, he's responsible for their family problems, and all of that. That shows the high level of irresponsibility on the part of the woman. In this generation, which woman wants to be dependent? You know, you depend on the man for everything. No.
Sir, I want to ask you a question. A lady goes into a relationship now and they are considering marriage, and the number of years or number of periods they have been in relationship, the guy have not spent a dime on her. Is there a need to worry about?
Yes.
Yeah, there is.
There's every need to be worried about. Because, like we said, in the period of dating is more like a test running period.
Yeah.
And if he really loves you, love gives. Love is sacrificial. For God so loved that He gave. Part of the evidence or the proof that you love somebody is that you will give to the person. If the person doesn't even have, at least he will be able to afford to buy something as small as handkerchief, something to buy as a gift. So it's a point of worry, because when you get into marriage with that kind of man,
he's not going to take care of you.
And then you can't question it, because the signs were there. Red flags were there, but you ignored them. And you were carried away by whatever you think was love.
Which is not love.
Which is not love.
It's okay. I think our discussion is actually exciting, and I believe my viewers out there are learning so much. Ma, at what age should a boy or a girl consider love?
Okay. Personally, I feel from age 20. I feel from age 20, you can call it, you can actually define and feel what, and differentiate between what you're feeling. because I know that within the teenage age, there are things that you can't really explain. You know, you can see a teenage girl have crushes on more than 2, 3, 4 guys. She has not been able to differentiate between love and just having a crush on someone. So if she calls it a relationship, then that's why we have a lot of heartbreaks within that age. Within the age 16 and 20, there are a lot of heartbreaks because you just go into it, you know, with just light mind, and you're not matured enough for it. I believe that for anything from age 20 and above, you should be able to, the heart is matured enough to take that.
Okay. So who is a bestie? Who is a lover? For those that are not yet married, those that are still dating couple. He is my bestie, she's my lover. We want to know the difference between these two things.
Well, let me speak from a practical point and maybe from experience.
Okay, sir.
A personal experience. In our times, we don't know what is bestie.
Yeah.
But if you ask me, probably that should mean a best friend.
Yeah.
And I will also say that from my marriage, my best friend, who is my bestie, is my wife.
Yeah.
Who is also my lover.
Do you know currently there are married women that have bestie as a man outside?
It's a wrong idea.
Wow.
Yes, it happens.
It's a wrong idea.
Married women
It's
have a male friend outside. He calls him my bestie. The husband is aware and move along.
It's a wrong idea. And of course, let me add to this, or probably point this out. For me in my marriage, I don't have a friend who is not a friend of the family. She doesn't even have a female friend that is not a friends with me or friends with the family. So there's no room for you having one bestie that is different from what we know and understand. So she's my best friend, and every of her friends, whether classmates or whatever, are my friends. And I have friends, whether in ministry or classmates, and they are friends.
Yeah.
So there's no room for one bestie anywhere, because in relationship, your best friend should be your spouse.
Okay.
In marriage, your best friend should be your spouse, and that eventually is your lover. So I don't give room for the bestie stuff and all of that.
Okay. But with the current thread of domestic violence here and there, like what we heard of the gospel musician Osinachi that was murdered by her husband, according to what we heard. Before then, what love was there and all of that. At what point in a marriage or in a relationship will the love all of a sudden turn to violence and destructions and all of that?
Well, causes of domestic violence differs.
Okay.
Most times, the truth, it does not really come out. What led to that doesn't come out. But the fact is this: why in a relationship with someone, if the person is a violent person, there are signs to prove to you that the person is violent.
There are red signs already.
There are red signs, there are red flags that the person has some violent tendencies. That's there. Now, most times, negligence of how a partner feels can lead to violence. You know, when jealousy is to the extreme, though jealousy is one important factor in a relationship, it plays a good role in a relationship.
Like a positive and a negative.
Yes, a negative. When it becomes excess, it's negative. So if it's not checked, it can also cause problems. And then when we get married and we didn't define our dreams from the foundation, like there's no goal, there's no aspirations, there was nothing that was put together on ground. So when a partner begins to pursue a goal that is leaving the other partner behind, that the tendency for the extreme jealousy to come is there. So if you are moving ahead, I am of the opinion that the higher you go, the person you're in love with should be very close to you. Should be very close to you, so that you can cover up, bridge the gap between jealousy and the extreme jealousy and the useful jealousy. So
I have a friend who is a lecturer. He immediately he graduated, he got a lecturing job. He went for his master's. Once he's done with his master's, he has gone for his PhD. Immediately he enrolled a wife for master's.
Yeah.
He wanted to climb the ladder together to avoid dragging
the
each
gap
other
shouldn't
behind.
be too wide.
Yeah.
The gap shouldn't be too wide.
And maybe to also add to it, based on the example you gave of the gospel musician that died not too long.
Okay.
From the stories that we heard and read,
Yeah.
I don't think they even had time to get to know each other.
Yeah.
Because the moment the guy proposed, after long struggles, and the guy gave in, they were going straight to get married. They didn't take out time to know themselves. Whether the man had the violent tendencies, whether the guy was very possessive and wouldn't, his level of jealousy was to the level of possession. She never allowed that to play out before she got involved in what she was doing. And there were so many stories about, so many things about the man the girl never knew.
Okay.
There were series of insinuations about some of the lives he lived and all of that before they got married. Because it's not just about the lady herself. From what we heard, he is also violent as regards his children.
Wow.
And so I am very sure that if they took out time to have understudied themselves, the girl would have noticed there were these tendencies there.
Yeah.
Except if she threw caution to the winds and still went ahead to get married.
But some persons will tell you that in marriage he will change.
Okay.
What changes a man in marriage?
But now they believe
What
a lot of
changes
ladies
a
have
woman in
today. They'll
marriage?
tell you, this guy is this, is that, but I believe once we get married, I will pray he will change.
Whatever happens in courtship
It
is
multiplied
multiplied
in
in marriage.
Wow.
It's multiplied in marriage.
Now, one of the things you were talking about, how love changes in marriage and all of that, if some things will change. See, there is an example I don't want to use, but I think to explain a little bit, let me use it.
Okay.
People see marriage or relationship as a situation where a hunter is going after an animal.
Okay.
And when he gets the animal, what will he be running after again?
Nothing else.
So in courtship, you are running after a girl. While you are running after the girl, you are ready to change. You are willing to change for the sake of what you want to get.
Yeah.
So if you don't change and you're able to get it, why change again? Why change again? So it's that's a part of marriage people don't like to, when they come to the place of counsel, they don't even like to discuss until you ask them. Then they say, yes, of the truth, I saw the signs, but I was thinking.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
They were always thinking.
In conclusion, sir, a lot of men today get scared, intimidated, and worried over their wife's success and progress. What's your take on that?
Well,
Especially when the wives are doing better off than them.
it's a common thing, and for some, I think it's as a result of probably things that have happened before,
To them or what they have seen.
what they
or
have heard.
Okay.
Yes, I think even in this city where we have seen people who are so, who God have blessed to a point where their husbands begin to slave for them. So the fear of such track records make men most times when they see these tendencies, they begin to wonder, I have had this thing before, I've seen this thing before. And like my wife rightly pointed out, when it comes to the issue of growth, I think when you carry somebody along your growth process, it becomes a lot of security for you. Because the person is involved in what you are doing, is involved in seeing what you are doing, and it's part of the progress. I'm sure he will be very interested in your development. But for some persons, like I think I made mention of something some time back, I don't know, about a lady who was lifted to a position, and then by virtue of, it was a political position.
Okay.
It's a family I was privileged to know, and anytime they have to drive out, as the driver drives, the man sits in front and the woman sits at the owner's corner, and the woman makes the man looks like a slave outside to people. And I personally said it then I wasn't even married, but I said, what is wrong with if the man sits on the other side with the wife, even though it's an official car, the woman can sit at the owner's corner, but the man should sit on the other side. Or else I won't take a drive with you. It's okay, you can go ahead, I'll meet you at the meeting. I'll come with another car, I'll take a bike if I can't afford any. It's simple. That is a way of carrying a man along and giving him a sense of belonging in your upliftment.
Yeah.
But if you do that, he feels secured in your growth. But the moment the gap becomes widening, the man in his ego is tempted to feel insecure, because the man always wants to be the top.
Yeah.
The man always wants to be the one who dishes out the instructions and all of that. So when he gets to a place where the woman needs to do that and he sits down, he won't take it.
While you were talking, my mind went through two persons, and that's late Dora Akunyele and his current Ngozi Mkwenjela.
Yes.
They are more elevated and more popular and more pronounced than their husbands, and we've never heard any issues in their marriage, matrimonial homes and all of that. Mark, to you now, to round up these sessions, women that are more successful than their husbands, what is your advice for them?
There's no my mom while life will always say this. She'll say that no matter how tall the okra tree grows,
Yeah,
that
that
the
is taller than the
planter
banana.
can still bend it and pluck it out. The thing is this: no matter how successful you are as a woman, the fact is that you have a head who is the man. So you must never forget his place as the head.
Some women are
And you
dominary.
No, that's because they lack understanding. You must understand the fact that he's your head, and his respect must not be tampered with. Men are egoistic beings, and as such, when you're dealing with them, you must respect the fact that you won't touch their egos. You don't make them slave. You don't make them come below you. The moment they notice, they just perceive the sign. They want to make you know that they are the head. So don't put yourself in a position where you begin to drag headship with a man. Always respect him for who he is. Respect him for his position in your life, and remember the fact that he is the crown that you are wearing. So you don't play with your crowns. You don't begin to treat him anyhow because you are now more successful than he is. Well, that depends on how we look at success anyway, because there is no success without my man. There's just no success without him.
That's you.
That's me. No matter wherever I go, whichever height I get to, I don't forget that I have a head and I must respect his authority over my life. I remember some years back, there's this particular church who will always invite me to speak on love and relationship. And anytime I go there, I go with my husband, and they just make provision for just I alone. And when I go up to speak, I'll tell them I won't speak until they give my husband a chair in front where he will sit close to where I'm standing. And when that's when they will now go and start receiving him. Welcome sir, welcome sir. So that's the man that makes this possible for me to teach this. If it's not here, you won't even believe what I'm telling you in the first place. Because most time when people come out to talk on love and relationship and their partner is not there, you know the truth from the faces of the partners, if what the person is saying is the truth. So I would bring my husband forward and let him say hello to the church before I speak. I must recognize the fact that I came with my head, and I cannot just start running things. My head needs to open the floor for me, and then I speak. So that gave room to the point where it got to a level where people began to Mr. and Mrs. It was no longer when they were just promoting just me alone. They now have to start addressing my husband alongside with me. But I know that some ladies will take it as a privilege that they are now more recognized, so they just take their shoulders high and then disregard their head. And I know what a man can do. What's come to us, you tell you're no longer to go out of this gate. So what happens? And then they say it's domestic violence. Most times women push domestic violence to occur.
Maybe I should also say something because of what you mentioned, Dora Konyili. I remember when I read something about her before she became
Minister.
I was the minister of the head of NAFDAC. Yeah. I remember it was said that when she was invited to Aso Rock, she had to consult her husband. I have a call from the presidential villa. I don't know what has happened. It was the husband who said to her, go, hear what the reason behind the call, and then we can decide. For some, they might feel, okay, what is the need? If I'm recognized by the presidency, what is the need consulting my husband? But she needed the approval of the man. So with that, the man was rest assured that wherever she goes, she needs to take permission from
what you just said struck my mind. Something happened yesterday when I called. I called the wife first and I told her, what time are we going to meet today? And then she said, I should call you to find out from you that you should decide that she doesn't know what your programs are. Immediately I dropped the call with her. I called you. You said, okay, I should hold her. You're going to speak with your wife first. I said, but I just spoke with her and she gave me the go ahead to ask you. You said I should just give you some time. I want to speak with her. You're going to get back to me. I learned so much from that communication. Yeah. And you carry yourselves along, and it's a good one. And I believe my viewers out there too that are married would learn to carry themselves along in marriage. Together, you are going to make your home a better place. There will be no domestic violence. No one will be bigger or better than the others. I believe our viewers out there have learned so much from our discussions today. Is love enough to sustain marriage and relationship? And they said no. And they gave us other ingredients. And I believe if you go through our videos and all of that, you're going to learn so much. Thank you so much, Pastor and Mrs. Kenneth Itodo, for having us in our show today, Abraham Bozon Show. We hope to have you some other time.
You're welcome. Thank you
so much. Our viewers out there, continue to watch Abraham Bozon Show. Subscribe to our channel, share our videos, and Together we shall make Abraham Boson Show a better place. Ciao, ciao.